by opposing counsel. I'd like to address the last part of your testimony first. I believe you said on direct examination by Ms. Jones that Mr. Travis's or Mr. Deane's answers in response to your questions appear to lack forthrightness, appear to lack credibility, that he was being invasive. Were those your responses?
Yes.
And I believe that the focus was on whether or not Mr. Deane served alcohol to those two girls that evening.
Correct.
That's right. And he made comments, or gave responses rather, to the effect of, I may have, I'm not sure, I don't remember, words to that effect. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Now, didn't Mr. Deane tell you during the IA statement that you took of him that he had been drinking on the night of that party, sir?
Yes, he did.
And did he indicate that he had been drinking quite heavily?
Yes.
Now, forgive me, don't people who, in your experience as a law enforcement officer, having dealt with people in DUI situations, in your own personal experience perhaps, when a person drinks quite a bit, isn't it frequent that their memory of what happened in the hours before they drank might be foggy and sometimes incomplete?
I'm going to object to that question. He's asking as if he's an expert witness about the effects of alcohol and specific effects of alcohol.
I'm asking his expert capacity. I'm asking his capacity as a law enforcement officer. I'm sure that in his law enforcement career, he's pulled over a variety of people who have been under the impairment of alcohol. I'm sure that during his life, he may have imbibed, certainly at home, not behind the wheel, and perhaps may have had drank in excess. I'm asking him to draw on his personal experiences and his experience as a law enforcement officer, not as an expert witness.
I have the same objection that he had to my asking the questions about the DV arrest, but in addition, I think he could ask him if he's ever seen people that have had too much to drink and what he observed, but to ask whether it's common for people to have memory loss before or after, there's no way that he would know that unless he was some kind of a doctor that studied that kind of thing.
I'll rephrase the question and see if I can deal with the objection. Although I think we all know that, based upon common experience, that if you drink too much, your memory the previous night might be a little foggy, but if you want to
object to the testifying.
Well, this is common experience, but I'll be happy to ask the question of the witness anyhow. Sir, have you ever drank to excess?
Hang on one second, Mr. Blue, sorry.
You strike that comment from the record.
Very well. Have you ever drank to excess, sir?
Objection. Objection. That's
I'm
an improper
based on
question.
personal experience.
That is an improper question. There's no allegation here that anybody drank to excess in this case. We have not alleged that.
I'm not accusing him of drinking on duty. I'm asking
his personal business is not any business of this.
I'm trying to ask him. Well, he's accusing my client of being not credible. He's accusing my client of being invasive. I think I'm entitled on the topic of whether or not my client provided alcohol to those girls that evening. And he said that his answers were invasive, and I'm trying to offer testimony that might explain that Mr. Deane's inability to recall those events and offer crisp, clean yes or no answers may have been impacted by the effects of alcohol.
I think you
That's all I'm trying to do.
I think you can ask your
I'm
client
also
this.
entitled to ask this witness that question.
If you want to ask him what part of the statements he believed were evasive or less than
That's not my
forthright,
question, ma'am.
I'm going to object to him asking any questions about this officer's personal business.
I can't understand why you're asking this witness
I'll
those
explain, ma'am.
questions.
We all come into this room with personal experiences. Some of us come into this room with experiences with alcohol. And some of us in this room may have, from time to time, had too much to drink, drank to excess, and the next morning had a relatively foggy recollection of what occurred the previous evening. That's what I'm trying to get to his personal experience, to see if he's had that same experience. So perhaps it will explain Mr. Deane's lack of ability to recall events clearly about what happened during that post-Halloween party on November 5th, 2011. That is all. I'm not trying to impugn his character. I have nothing but respect for him. I'm only trying to get to an answer of whether or not he believes alcohol can affect a person's ability to recall events clearly. And let me just ask that question.
It's not relevant.
It's not relevant?
If he wants to ask his client if his memory was foggy or too much to drink, then
I'm
he
going
can
to withdraw the
certainly ask
question.
that.
I'm going to withdraw the question, sir. Based upon your own personal experiences in law enforcement or otherwise, I'm not asking a medical opinion, but based upon your own personal experiences and in law enforcement, is it your understanding that drinking alcohol to excess can sometimes lead to gaps in memory or foggier memory about events that occurred previously?
Objection. It's the same question, and I have the same objection.
I'm not asking him about whether or not he drank last Thursday.
That was the first question you asked, was about his memory and what he knows from his experience. That's what started this. Was the first question you asked.
You obviously don't want him to respond to it, because you don't want the answer, but the question is not legally
It's
objectionable.
not relevant.
It is completely irrelevant. His memory is
He
being
can
called into
testify about
question.
his memory.
Well, you know what? So can
his
he.
memory.
So can he.
Sergeant Tatum can testify about
He
your
can
client's
testify
memory.
about the effects of alcohol and the fact that it can impair memory. Now, I'm surprised I'm getting this much opposition. I mean, clearly, you don't want him to respond. Let us let the board decide. I mean, honestly, at this point, there's obviously becoming a due process issue. I can't ask a witness a simple question, and this intended and quite relevant, and intended to try to undo the damage done to my client by opposing counsel.
I don't understand where you're trying to go with this. You told us, but you can't ask this witness what the other guy was doing, or just what he saw. He's testifying to only what he saw, and you're asking him to make an opinion of that?
No, ma'am. That's not what I'm doing. I'm asking him to, based upon his experiences, let me ask a different question and see if I can get rid of these unnecessary objections. Sir, you've been involved in a number of DUI arrests as an arresting officer. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Approximately how many during the course of your law enforcement career?
Probably.
A lot.
Yeah. I mean, I can't put a number on it.
That's fine. Oh, more than 100.
I would say so.
Okay. Now, during those arrests, sir, did you ever called upon to ask the driver questions about how much they had to drink that night, where they had been nights, questions of that nature?
Yes.
And did some of those people have a difficulty responding to those questions?
Some people did, but everybody responds differently to the questions.
Do you believe, based upon your experiences, that some of those people were able to respond to those questions about where have you been, how much did you have to drink, where were you going when I pulled you over, because of the effects of the alcohol?
Some were because of the effects of alcohol, and some were just for the mere fact that they didn't want to provide the information.
Very good, good enough. Okay, now, it seems like you were very clear that my client and elements of his interview with you lacked forthrightness, and that was directed to the issue of whether or not he provided the alcohol to the girls, correct?
Correct.
Now, he didn't, he said it, in essence, that he didn't remember, right? Now, in an interview, I'm sure that you want truthful and accurate answers, correct?
Absolutely.
So if a witness is unclear about what his answer is, or doesn't recall the event with specific particularity, or remember it specifically, wouldn't it be better for that witness that you're interviewing to tell you that, rather than give an affirmative yes or no in response to a question? Simply tell you, look, I don't remember, I don't know.
Well, that was his response. Of course, we do want the truth when we're conducting our internal investigation.
Couldn't that have been the truth? Couldn't that have been Travis Deane's truth, that he didn't remember whether or not he handed either one of those two girls alcohol that evening?
If that's the way he recalled it, yes.
Okay, so he could have been telling the truth very easily.
Possibly.
Okay, so he may not have been being evasive with you, am I correct?
The way he responded to the questions wasn't evasive.
In what way, in the manner in which he responded to the questions, indicated evasion?
Because as Attorney Jones had indicated, there were several questions that were asked him directly about serving alcohol to these girls. And he gave the same answer time and time again. I believe it was more than once he gave the response. I may have, but
Let's
it
look
doesn't
at
preclude the possibility that it took place.
let's look at, do you recall if that line of questioning occurred in his first or second IA interview, sir?
I believe it was possibly in his first interview.
And did that occur on, no, it was not May 18th, 2012. I believe it was earlier. You happen to have that handy, sir?
Yeah, I can find it.
And if you could point me in the March 12th, 2012 IA statement given by Mr. Deane to where you thought he was being evasive with you, I would appreciate it, sir. And I have a copy of this for opposing counsel. Do you have it?
Yeah.
Oh, great. And I have a copy of this for the
So
board
the
members as
interview
well.
of March 12th?
It is, ma'am. I think it may start,
Page 8.
yes.
About the middle of the page.
Yes.
What, can you tell me what line that you think the evasiveness began at, sir? Just read to us.
Let's see.
Should I ask it? Yeah, I read the series.
Yes.
Sure, absolutely.
Where he starts, did she consume alcohol while she was there? It's about a third of the way down. It starts with okay. It says okay.
Okay, right.
What page, Nancy?
Page 8,
Page 8.
about the third TT down from the top.
Right.
No.
Did Kelly consume any alcohol while she was there? Travis Deane's response was, not that I recall, but again, that doesn't preclude the possibility that it may have happened. Did you ever provide Kelly with alcoholic beverages? I don't remember having done so, no. You don't recall? I don't recall having done that. Again, it doesn't preclude the fact that it may have, I just don't recall that.
Is that full part of that line of inquiry where you thought Mr. Deane was being evasive?
That was part of it.
Okay, well, let's just deal with this part and we'll move on.
Okay.
You asked him, what did they do when they got to the party? He says, I assume they took part in the party. You asked, and mine's redacted unfortunately, did blank consume alcohol while she was there? Is that Kelly?
Yes.
Very well. And he tells you, and I'm summarizing, I don't know, she may have, she may not have. And you asked, did you provide Kelly with alcoholic beverages? He says, I don't remember having done so.